walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to
Beyond the Void.
Horror Podcast.
Patrick's sounding a little weird today, but we have a great show for you. We're going to be doing Child's Play 1 and 2 today, and I don't even know what we're going to call it. Do you guys have an idea? We got some people here that you may not know the voice. Patrick's voice has changed suddenly. Could this be one of the new co-hosts of BTV?
Oh, no. Could it? Is it happening? Is it? I think it is.
Well, guys, we want to make a warm welcome to Britni Bloodshed being the brand new co-host of BTV. So give her a round of applause.
Ayo.
And for today, actually, Mouse is coming along with her husband.
Hello.
Oh.
Who is
here.
pretty badass, and we're going to get him drunk and make him talk about stuffs. But yeah, dude, Britni.
Yes.
Thank you for being a part of this, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm
Seriously,
so excited.
like, that's fun. I'm so happy, like, that I can continue this on because I was almost ready to give up. And I was like, I can't.
Don't
There's
stop
something that gets inside of me. Yeah,
believing.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to summon that right now.
Hang on to that feeling. So let's get to know you. Why did you decide that you wanted to do this? Like, what is the reason?
Well, I mean, you did kind of like handcuff me and give me no choice.
Yeah,
so
I punched you a few times.
You were like, I'm going to fucking kill your whole family if you don't agree to do this. And it's going to be really fucking violent and you're going to have to watch. And I was like, well, if that's the case.
Well, you're like, I have a camera.
I mean, I really do love my mom, but if you want to take my dad out, that's fine. Like, I'm not worried about it. But yeah, no, I pretty much this is something that I really like and I really enjoy, and I had a whole lot of fun with you guys last time.
Yeah, we had a
and
good time.
It just vibed really well and was very natural feeling, and I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Welcome.
And I'm still a little bitter. You did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I know.
And,
We had to do that just to get you on.
I feel like that's what you did. That was your ploy.
Yeah,
You know? And
we wanted to make it-
You went, you know what? I feel like if we do this Texas Chainsaw Massacre
She'll be
episode,
pissed enough to
she's
come
gonna
on.
be so fucking angry. She's gonna come on and put our balls in vices and go, if you don't put me on this in this show, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna rip your balls off and shove them down your asshole.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah, it totally
And I came
did.
in and I ripped your balls off.
And now
shoved
we
them up
got
your
Mouse
asshole,
here
and we
too
are.
on top of it.
Nope.
What's up,
Yeah,
Mouse?
here.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right.
Yeah? We've been getting drunk a little bit beforehand.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, a lot,
bit.
actually.
A lot of it.
Yeah, we've had like 4 drinks. You have.
Yeah,
You
no.
guys have been drinking like a motherfucker.
Yeah, no.
I'm a lightweight.
I don't fuck around.
Guys, if you don't already know, we do 2 episodes each week. Monday we did with Mark Doubt, who was gracious enough to come and grace us with his presence and tell us about his horror and his art. And today we are going to be talking about Child's Play 1 and 2. Do you guys have a name that you might think? Come on.
What do you think over there, Mouse?
The Chuck stops here. I'm really good at cheesy shit, so
works.
That's pretty excellent, actually. Like I don't know. Like my feelings on this franchise are probably a little bit.
different than most.
Than
Yeah,
most?
than Patrick's especially.
Yeah, sorry, Patrick, because we're about to shit all over your favorite movie.
Yeah, well, not shit on it. I wouldn't say shit.
Not necessarily, yeah, not shit on it by any means. Trust
We were
me. Like,
surprised
it could
that
be a
we
whole
liked
lot
it more
worse.
than we did, but
Yeah. The news.
what have you been doing, guys? Like, what have you guys been up to? You told me something very interesting.
I did. Are we talking about that now?
Yeah, let's do this.
Well, in hopes that it actually happens, so we're talking about it now.
Okay.
I'm actually supposed to be assisting on an autopsy this weekend.
Right.
Which is excellent.
Fucking awesome.
Courtesy of my lovely lady friend Lindsay, who is a actually like super gorgeous, accomplished model.
Right. Wow.
But she's also extremely smart. And she invited me to come in on an autopsy with her and the medical examiner that she works with. I am insanely excited about it. I can't even tell you.
Didn't she say that she was going to let you do something and you got really delighted about it?
I'm really hoping that I actually get to crack the rib cage. Because that's kind of my biggest dream.
Mouse and I are looking at each other going, what the fuck?
There is no better sound than a freshly cracked rib cage first thing in the morning.
I don't know about that.
There really isn't. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, you love horror movies, you know. Like,
yeah. I couldn't see that shit
and
live.
I know that it's actually a really difficult process.
Oh,
It's not as easy as they make it look in movies.
They
or
pop, pop,
even
pop, pop,
it's
pop.
actually really difficult to be able to cut through and pop it up the way you need to investigate what you're trying to look at underneath. A harder process than it seems. I mean, in most movies and TV shows or whatever, they always make everything look easy. Just like CSI solves a crime in 5 minutes. That's not fucking possible.
They just get the bolt cutters out and they just pop the ribs.
Yeah. It's a difficult thing, but it is a beautiful sound that you get to hear.
She raised her eyebrows when she made that noise.
There was a whole lot of eyebrow raising in that moment. It was beautiful.
Honestly, though, dude, I give you props because, like, me and Mouse are talking about it. We couldn't do that shit.
You know, a lot of people can't, and that's one of the things is why they start out with such higher prospects for medical examiner school or coroner school or even pathology in general. That's start out with a high level of people, and then they end up with a fraction of who actually started. And you have to think about these people spending all this money on school, and they don't finish because they can't stomach it.
Right.
And this is kind of my platform. It's something I've always wanted to do, something I've always wanted to get into, but I kind of had this like subtle plan, you know, from the beginning going, I want to get in on this shit before I put myself in thousands and thousands of dollars of debt.
You don't have to do that just to be breaking rib cages.
Well, you know, I break rib cages on the daily, Alex.
Yeah, she just takes
I thought we weren't going to talk about that. I thought we weren't going to talk about my dark past.
No, that's cool as shit. I don't know if I could do it. Like, I think I could get desensitized enough to do it at some point. But how long would that take?
I feel like you could probably watch it, like, you know, up in an observation deck kind of setting, like sit above a surgery, essentially, and kind of like watch how it's done.
You just got to be like, science.
Yeah, you have to have a big old boner for science.
Right,
like,
you just got to like...
the human body and anatomy to really be able to...
It's like your happy place.
Exactly, and that is my happy place. Like, I wouldn't have gone into the medical field if I didn't enjoy doing what I was doing. And I wish I got to see a whole lot more blood and gore in my job currently.
So when is this happening?
Saturday.
Okay, so we're going to be able to talk about it next week.
I'm hoping so. There are, fingers crossed, knock on wood, if I can find any mouse, give me your wiener. If there are small chances that it won't happen, being if the hospital actually decides to take the body back to do the autopsy themselves, or if the family decides to cancel the autopsy.
Right.
There's a bunch of different factors that play into it. That could end up.
And I don't want to say like I hope it happens because it kind of sounds weird. Maybe
you hope they cancel,
or
you hope I get to do it.
They don't cancel, but
you better hope I get to do it.
It's like, look, dude, somebody really wants to crack your friends, your family members.
No, like you legitimately better hope that I get to be on this shit because I am so excited to be a part of it. It's ridiculous. Like you
got more balls than I do.
I will be really upset next week if I have to come in and report back saying I didn't get to do it.
Right. Well, we'll find out next week, so make sure you tune in,
at
guys.
one point. If we don't do it this weekend, I will. She has me on to do the next one after that, so
okay.
We'll see.
Well, damn, dude. I'm excited for you. I really am. Like
I'm excited for me too.
Yeah, I just can't believe I can't do that. And my week is not very interesting compared to that. What about you, Mouse? Do you have anything cool coming up?
Not really.
Or doing?
No, I mean...
Or something in transition. You told me something's happening.
Yeah, I am in a band called SoundManKillz.
Check it out. Where's the link?
Holla.
Facebook. It's all of them.
SoundManKillz, guys.
Yeah.
Don't you have a .com?
Probably.
I feel like I know more about
Mouse
his band
does a lot of the promotion.
This is why his name is Mouse.
I play guitar.
He does. He plays instruments, and that's his thing.
That's what I do.
He's the creepy one in the band with the dreads and the like decapitated Jesus tattoos.
Oh, totally.
Playing
normal.
the bass with the Deathly Hollow symbol on, or the bass. Wow,
Most times
playing the guitar with the Deathly Hollow symbol on it.
When I go to
Oh,
church,
sorry, Nate,
it's
if
always
you're
like
listening,
that.
because Mouse does not play the bass. He plays the guitar. You play the bass. Sorry, Nate. Don't be mad.
Ooh.
He's gonna fucking bitch slap me the next time I see him.
So what's happening with SoundManKillz?
We have a new singer.
Okay.
And we're writing new stuff.
That's kind of a big deal, man.
It's a big deal.
It should be really great.
He's underselling.
So all right. So you've listened to this guy already? It's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're recording, and
Is it real creative right now?
yeah.
That's awesome.
It's more than what it was, because the new singer actually writes too. So we've got more.
Oh, nice.
It's coming in from more angles.
Nice.
So
you just got to figure out your boundaries now.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Kind of-
different, but I think it'll be better.
That's
like
cool, man.
One of the big issues that they had before was that the previous singer, like Eddie, would essentially kind of write all the music with Larry, who records their albums. They would kind of write everything all together. The previous singer would end up having to write like the lyrics for the songs.
Right.
And now it feels a little bit more like everybody's on the same page.
Like
and
not everybody's having to lift everybody up.
Right. Everybody's
Yeah.
working together.
That's good.
Essentially, and they're doing this whole I don't know. I'm really excited for everybody to hear it.
Feels like a
because it's-
unit a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and
good,
it's,
man.
It's like this kind of, I don't want to say it's a different direction than where they were, because it's still kind of in the same direction of where they were, but it's a little bit elevated.
It's
And
vibed.
It's
There's
different.
a vibe to it now.
Yeah, it's different. There's more life
That's
been breathed,
awesome.
breathed into it.
Passion.
So,
That's
exactly.
what it is. It's passion's back.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Like sometimes you need to switch things up. It sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Like we got a new, podcast host, like a
Ew.
co-host. And it's like where do we go from here? Well, we'll figure it out as we go.
Fill me up.
So if you guys want to check
me.
that out, you should definitely check out SoundManKillz. You'll find it. Trust me. We'll put some links below.
Kills with a Z.
As far as me, what uninteresting things have I been doing this week? Well, I was sick, and I'm feeling better today. My guts don't feel like someone's churning them with a fucking large metal spoon, and my back is feeling better because we got in a car accident last week. Someone rear-ended us and was like, Christina came winging out the fucking car like a banshee, dude. She was like, what the fuck would you be riding my ass for, you motherfucker? I was like, I got out of the car like all angry, and then she just I was like, oh, I'll just chill over here.
She just went off. Yeah. She took that situation by the balls.
She really did. I
ran
was like,
with it.
you're putting me in a really bad
Yeah.
situation right now.
No, that's exactly how it would happen if it was me and Mouse and I in that situation. Like, I would have went batshit fucking crazy, and he would have got back in the car.
All we wanted to do that day is we wanted to go get ribs at Rudy's, and we were so excited about
Ruby
it.
Tuesdays for you.
Not Ruby's.
Oh.
Rudy's.
What the
It's
fuck
like
is
it's a
Rudy's?
barbecue place.
No Rudy's for
Dude,
you.
we spend like $20 and we eat like kings.
Oh, it's perfect.
Like, it's fucking
when
amazing.
We go to sushi.
It's amazing. We were literally 20, 30 feet away from the place when we got hit.
Fuck
So,
that.
and the lady
Piss me
was
off
like,
even
I'm
more."
sorry that I wasn't paying attention while driving behind you. Like, real condescending to her.
She old.
No, but she had her kid in the front seat, and she immediately moved into the back
That's
seat.
even worse.
He didn't even have a seatbelt on.
Should he have been in a car seat?
No, probably, yeah.
How
It was pretty
old was
young.
he?
It was pretty young. Young enough that she put him in the back seat,
Oh, that bitch. She
you
knew
know?
she was
And I have a
breaking the
picture
fucking
of
rules.
them with him in the front seat. So if I wanted to
Yikes.
be a dick.
You
But
should be a dick.
anyway, my back's feeling better. I didn't want to go through the whole court process, so
That's what Jack Daniels can do for you.
it's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, Jack Daniels does help.
Woo!
Let me drink some right now. Anyway, guys, so let's jump into the flesh and potatoes segment of the
Chuck stops here. Right now.
Okay, guys, we're back. We're going to be talking about, in order, Child's Play.
In order.
Yeah, we have to do it in order. I think it would be weird otherwise, because these are masterpieces to some and maybe not to others. We'll find out soon here, actually. So I think the first one we're going to start off with, obviously, would be Child's Play from 1988.
2. Just kidding.
2? No, fuck no.
Oh, we said in order. It's number 1. Child's Play, the original. Bam.
So the story
Straight 80s.
is a single mother gives her son a much sought-after doll for his birthday, only to discover that it's possessed by the soul of a serial killer.
Oh, no.
I know. Charles Lee Ray. And the funny thing is like, it's actually a Tom Holland film who, if you're familiar, did the Fright Night movie. He did Thinner, The Langoliers, which is 2 different, pretty good ones. I like Thinner.
I feel like
you
Mouse
like
has
The
a great
Langoliers?
opinion
I
about
did,
that.
yes.
Really? You're one of the very few.
I haven't seen it since, like, probably when it came out, but
You know what I did like about it is the green glowing eyes.
yeah.
I love that. Like, I thought it was, like, really weird and, like, what the fuck is going on right now? Or was that the Tommyknockers?
Oh, that's the,
It's
That's the
Tommyknockers.
Tommyknockers,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm totally getting confused now. So, yeah, I hated the Langoliers. Sorry, Tom. I
Yeah.
love you, brother.
I believe that's the one where everything disappears, like, behind them. And they're on,
Yeah, and
like,
they
a
go to the
plane
airport
and-
at the end.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't even remember much more than that.
It was like they were shifting through time, and like
Interesting.
time froze, and the Langoliers were eating time.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Something like that.
Something weird.
When did this come
It was
out?
not Tom Holland's best.
Can we? What year was this released?
90 something.
No,
It was a
child.
TV movie.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It was when they were doing those Stephen King like 3-part
Oh, okay.
episodes,
Okay.
like 3-hour episodes.
I'm gonna probably go home and watch that because I have no fucking clue.
I have it on VHS. It's
Do
pretty.
you? Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just kids. Oh.
But yeah, it's directed
Excellent.
by Tom Holland. It was produced by David Kirchner, who did all of the Chucky series. It was also written by Don Mancini, who also did all of the Chucky movies, and Cellar Dweller. Did you guys ever see that?
I don't think
No?
so.
Oh, dude, that's got. I believe it has Jeffrey Combs in it for like a hot minute.
Really?
Yeah. Like in the very beginning. But Cellar Dweller is a weird one. You can get that on like Scream Factory or Shout Factory has it. Kevin Yeager did the puppet animatronics. Excuse me. Wow, I'm drunk. He sort of became like the go-to guy for the puppet work. He worked on The Crypt Keeper in the Demon Knight movie.
Excellent.
And a shit ton more. Like at the time, he was doing stuff with animatronics that nobody was doing. And he applied what the Disney characters, like in the like rides that you would go on.
Yeah.
He was applying
It's
that
a
and
small
using it in
world
movies, which no one had
after all.
done. So he was kind of like the leading source.
Sorry.
Every time
Pinocchio
I've gone
ride.
on that, it fucking the ride died in the middle of it.
It's a sign.
Yeah, like what the fuck, dude? It's not a small world; it's a fucking broken
The
world.
fucked up world is what it is.
It obviously stars Alex Vincent, who is not a huge megastar by any means, but he was the kid that
He
played.
was so cute.
He played
He
Andy.
was so cute.
Yeah, he really was
A
cute.
little nugget. Goddamn adorable.
He was in Curse of Chucky, which I don't remember him in that.
He did like a bit cameo, right?
Maybe
Like,
he
it
just
wasn't
they,
even,
maybe
like, a
they just
solid-
showed him as a kid.
I feel like it was a very split second. I don't even know.
I have to watch
Yeah.
it again. I've been wanting to watch the rest of the series since we watched these two. So
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Like Mouse tried to convince me to keep going, and
you probably should.
I feel like I need to.
You'll
I'm
get
gonna
there.
skip 3. I feel like and just
You have to watch it.
God.
There's some cool stuff in it, just not a lot.
All right.
He's also returning. Alex Vincent is returning in Cult of Chucky, by the way, as an adult. Catherine Hicks was in this movie. She was in Death Valley, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, or as I like to call it, A Whale of a Good Time. I'm sorry. That was a pre-planned joke, and it may have not landed as well as I wanted.
Well, I thought it was funny.
Chris Sarandon, he plays the cop in this movie.
Yeah.
He was in Fright Night. He was the fucking vampire. He was also in the movie called Resurrected, which is a decent Lovecraft movie, actually. I really like it. He was also in A Princess Bride. He was the guy that was going to
fucking
marry her,
serious?
remember? Do you remember that?
Jesus. I feel like
He was
Mouse
gonna
has
marry
seen
the girl.
Princess Bride, and I haven't.
Yeah. a bunch.
Dude,
Yeah.
you've not seen it?
No.
What?
I know.
You're getting your girl
I
card
feel like
pulled.
every woman in
Yeah.
America is listening to this going, what the fuck?
Well, no, you should probably watch
I was
it
too busy
now.
watching horror movies. I'm
Well, we're
sorry.
pretty
great.
old, dude. Like,
Oh.
Obviously, Brad Dourif plays Chucky.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most
I
iconic
got stuck
voices.
in an elevator with him and his family once. That was pretty cool.
What?
Yeah. When
Really?
He did Mad Monster.
With Brad Dourif?
Pretty sure that was him, wasn't it?
I don't know. You tell me.
I feel because he's
Show
Lord
me
of
on the
Rings.
doll where he touched you, Brittany. He's actually a very well-mannered man.
Oh, for sure. No, and if my memory serves me correctly, he's in Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah, he is in the Lord of the Rings.
that's
I
what I'm
totally
saying.
forgot
And
about that.
I'm pretty sure
He was Wormtongue.
I am going to find out because there was someone that we
is.
met from Mad Monster that was at. No, I'm right. He was at Mad Monster, and a couple years ago, it was when it was at the Sheridan
Okay.
in downtown Phoenix.
Downtown Phoenix, yeah.
And Jenny was really excited about it because she really likes Lord of the Rings. You know, we kind of went by his table a couple times and were a little chicken shit to like have like, oh my god, it's Pandora. He had to cancel a day early. I think one of his kids was sick.
Oh, okay.
And we were riding the elevator back to go to our rooms because I think we were going to refill our drinks, of course, because they're a bunch of lushes. And we ended up, when we look behind us, and it's Brad Dourif with his family. Jenny and I have no idea that that's who we're riding the elevator with. Like, this is probably the millionth time I've been in an elevator with a famous person and I've had no idea.
Yeah, you do that all the time, apparently.
Absolutely. As soon as they it stops and they get off, and our friend turns to us and our friend Crazy Pat turns to us and Psychopat. Sorry, I'm gonna get his name wrong.
That's Brad Dourif.
He turns to us and he goes, "Do you know who that was?" And I'm like, "A guy?" And he goes, "That was fucking Brad Dourif. We just rode in an elevator with him and his whole family." And I'm
Were
like,
you, like, appropriate?
"No.
You weren't?
Am I ever appropriate?"
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like,
Absolutely not.
you're, like, talking about dicks and
Jenny
shit.
and I were probably talking about dicks, and I'm sure my tits were hanging out. Like, I don't know what's going on. I know we weren't appropriate.
He's
in
like,
that
I
whole
played
setting.
Chucky in a lot
And
of
he's just
films,
like, we
but-
just rode the elevator with Brad Dourif and his family. Like, they were I think they were getting ready to check out and leave.
And he was like,
Oh,
he
he
just
had
rode
a-
an elevator with a girl hanging with her boobs hanging out, talking about dick sucking.
He got out of there, I'm sure, going, we were in this elevator with this fucking chick and her friend with this big hair, and they were talking about dicks and fucking I don't even know what, and I have my like 12-year-old child here, and this was really inappropriate.
Yeah. Well,
And
I don't
I'm
know.
just
He's
like,
pretty old, so I
You
don't
made
know
a
how
whole
old his
lot of
kid
really
is.
stupid raunchy jokes in Chucky, so I don't even want to fucking hear it.
Right.
I don't even hear it.
So, what did you guys think about the movie? Like, what were you into it, or did you think did you like the first movie after seeing it after a while now?
Okay, so I actually rewatched 1 and 2.
Right.
Before.
Don't talk about 2 though.
I'm not gonna talk about 2 yet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
save
do it
that.
on order. When I watched them for the first time, I was probably like 12.
Okay,
13.
yeah, well, no, that's a good
I
thing.
mean, I wasn't even born when the first movie came out. You know, I was born in 1990, so
Wow,
yeah.
that's crazy to think about, dude. I'm old
it's
as
not
fuck
that
now.
crazy because like I'm 27 now, and like to me, I'm like, holy motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like 12.
I'm getting up there. I'm pushing 30, and it's real fun to have conversations with Mouse about old movies because
Because he makes him feel old.
I was 12, and I'm like, I wasn't born yet, and he loves it. But it was nostalgic, I guess, to kind of go back and rewatch those, and I have a different appreciation for them now
Right. Okay. Good.
that I'm older in different ways. Like I can look at it and kind of understand it, I guess.
Sure, okay.
A little more than I did when I was a child. Like I still have the same issues as far as like how in the fuck can this stupid doll even be terrifying to anybody? Like I mean, of course he's a killer and half the time he has a knife or a gun or whatever, but I still don't find it frightening to me. Like,
Okay.
I look at it and I think that's something that probably weighs all of like 5 pounds, and I can just pick it up and toss it out a window.
Chuck it.
And I can literally
Sorry for the pun.
chuck it.
Chuck it.
I can just chuck it right out my window, and that's the child's play.
I think
behind
that,
it.
you know what I think
That
it
was
is?
terrible. Don't include that in there.
I'm a little freaked. When I was a kid, I was a little freaked out by dolls a little bit because it's just like it's almost like it's like a ghost or like something that is just like there.
Right.
And the fact that if it were to be able to turn its head and look at you, and I also had when I was a kid, I also had a lot of friends who had like imaginary friends or like they talked to their dolls and
Right.
shit like that, and I always kind of wanted that because I never believed in it. or had it happen, I guess. I thought it was like one of those things that like only privy children were, you know, like the upper class, the privileged children. They were doll privileged.
Doll privileged children. I don't like one of my closest friends growing up when I lived in California, like collected porcelain dolls.
Okay.
And her bedroom was lined.
Littered with it, yeah.
Lined. She had 3 shelves, like in stacked layers in her bedroom that lined the entire proximity of her room of all these different porcelain dolls. And there was like varying stages of all of them and all these different stupid fucking costumes. And I would, you know, whenever I would stay the night at her house, we'd have to stay in her room or whatever. She had one of those little trundle beds that would come underneath.
Underneath, yeah, I had those, yeah.
Yeah, and I was never afraid of them. I just never understood how anyone could sleep with literally thousands of pairs of
eyes.
Beady, soulless eyes staring at them.
Well, that's the thing, is that your imagination creates this weird atmosphere for a doll, and it gives it some sort of life, even though it's lifeless.
Right.
It's just, it gives it some of that life. And that's why I think this movie does, well, I mean, it's not my scariest doll movie. Like, my scariest doll movie is from the Trilogy of Terror, which was an unrelenting, fucking angry, screeching fucking thing that I don't know if I could throw it or not, it would still come after me.
Right.
Like, that kind of thing. And that's kind of how Chucky is to a lot of people.
And that's how, like, even with the Annabelle, the whole theory
the first
behind
one's bad.
The Annabelle thing, but it's not a doll. It's the entity that's inside of the doll, that's tormenting you, and that's different.
Okay.
That's entirely different than this actual doll that's chasing you down the street trying to fucking slice your Achilles tendon off. You know, that's completely different.
Like the Pet Cemetery?
It goes up into the same realm as a paranormal activity kind of ghost.
Well, and that's kind of what they did. Or a demon
that's coming after you, where you can't put a body on what's coming to kill you. And that's where I feel like that's a little bit of a difference in that between the Child's Play franchise, is because there is a body that is holding the fucking soul of this killer that's coming after you, and
Charles
you can destroy
Lee
it. Charles Lee Ray. Yeah, the combination of 3 different killers.
Right, yeah.
You know, made up the name.
Charles Manson.
Yeah, Charles Manson, and then the guy that shot Kennedy and the guy that shot Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Lee Ray, yeah.
Okay.
The more mouse knows, rainbow. But I feel like that's kind of a little bit of the disconnect for me. That's why I couldn't necessarily get behind it so much.
Sure, well, everybody has a different fear.
There was an actual body tied behind the Child's Play franchise, as far as, and that's the difference between that and
like
other demon entities that would kind of embody other dolls.
Right. It had a personality.
It has a personality, and it's a funny fucking personality. Like,
sure.
Don't get me wrong. These jokes were stupid as fuck, but they were funny.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the big difference. And that's, for me, I look at that and go,
you don't fuck with the Chuck!
Now I know all I gotta do is destroy your fucking heart, supposedly, according to the fucking voodoo demon guy. All I have to do is destroy your heart and we're done.
Right.
So apparently that doesn't hold true, because it continues.
Right, for several sequels.
For several terrible sequels. However, sorry.
It's terrible but good.
But good in their own way.
Right.
Good in their own right.
It'd be interesting to hear what Tom Holland thinks of the rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually heard him discuss that, because he's kind of like the father of it in a way,
right?
Even though Don Mancini and Steve Kirshner and everything, they pretty much created
kind of like
it.
The brainchild behind everything.
Right.
I mean, he essentially created Chucky and the whole idea and premise behind it. From the pieces that I've read, I kind of wish that he would have went with his original idea.
I know it'd be interesting to see. Well, let's talk about what you thought of the movie in particular.
Yeah, how I can kind of understand where people came from as far as being so terrified of this film, or maybe even having more of a nostalgic connection to this film, because I mean, it's kind of obvious that this doll was so blatantly based on those My Buddy dolls.
It totally is, and they never mention it. They never even talk about it.
It is spot on.
It totally is, and it came out in 1985.
Right, and the My Buddy dolls never recovered, ever.
After
from
that movie.
The plague that Child's Play set upon them.
Right, they just literally destroyed the company.
They destroyed it completely. And there's several different ideas behind, what Chucky is based off of, but they have admitted to the fact that the My Buddy dolls were, a general kind of like inspiration for
I agree. I mean,
Chucky.
yeah.
But I mean, if you actually take a My Buddy doll picture and you place it next to
It looks like
a
it, dude.
good guy doll, they are identical.
Yeah, they're very similar.
They're almost
probably
100% identical.
You know what? They probably just don't want to mention it because they don't want to get their ass sued.
I'm sure they don't because it
something.
completely killed
But they
the
came
My
up-
Buddy dolls.
Yeah.
It did. They never recovered from that.
And they
there's-
did My Sister, Kid Sister.
Kid
Kid
sister.
sister.
He told me about it, and
Yeah.
it's ridiculous because I always thought, like, I mean, and, you know, I was born in the '90s, so it was a different experience for me because I didn't really start coming to understanding and remembering dolls and things like that until I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, so 95, 96.
Oh, man.
This movie was released in '88. I'm pretty sure that My Buddy dolls were 85, 86.
80s had a lot of dolls.
So I think it was 85.
Yeah, and so when I first watched these movies...
My Buddy was 85, yeah.
Yeah, when I first watched these movies, I had absolutely no idea, but I'm looking at them going, why does that look so familiar?
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it is
Yeah.
It is the same height, it's the same size. It's pretty
They're
much the
pretty
same
close
fucking
to
thing.
being identical. The shirts
Yeah, it's
and the overalls.
I mean, if
are
you really want
the
to take
same.
it back though, you could say Cabbage Patch Dolls started it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Cabbage
And
Patch Dolls
then
are
My
creepy as
Buddy
fuck.
tried to bite off of them.
Well, everything
but
is a
My
copy
Buddy
of
was
something.
like almost like life-size doll for like a really little kid.
Yeah.
So it was like you had a real friend
Well, I mean, it's like if you look
to the
at
end.
if you look at the scenes where Andy's carrying the doll into the preschool or whatever elementary school, I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Whatever
Yeah,
fucking school
but
it
everybody
is.
brought their Cabbage Patch Kids to school when I was a kid.
carrying
Like,
it.
I
It's
Yeah, yeah.
almost
did.
the same size as him, and so I can understand how people would have taken this so to heart
Right.
and being scared of it or being terrified of it or holding this like fear.
It's nostalgia. You can't
It
fuck
is
with it.
totally, but a lot of these people grew up with these dolls
That you didn't.
that I didn't.
Yeah. Dolls, I'm telling you, 80s had a lot of fucking
They
dolls,
totally
man.
did. They kind
Teddy
of
Ruxpin,
they
we had
pioneered-
fucking-
the Teddy Ruxpin. They pioneered the dolls that peed themselves,
Right.
or the dolls that you had to feed and then they'd poop their diapers
Right.
or whatever. And they
This is
started,
the next
they
evolutionary
really started the whole
step.
pioneering of these dolls that were kind of lifelike.
Right.
And so I completely
Because they wanted to teach kids how to be able to be a good friend, take care of other things.
That's the entire premise behind the My Buddy doll.
Right, yeah.
Is because they wanted to teach boys in particular how to be a better friend. Or
Right.
how to have solid friendships and not be a bully. Teach them how to have an actual friendship with another human, essentially. And
Right.
not want to play war games and not want to play, Dr. Whatever the fuck boys did. Throw rocks at each other, jack off in a corner. I don't know.
And also at that
But-
time,
That.
when this came
that.
out, a lot of parents were doing TV at dinner. TV was becoming a very big popular thing, so
Right.
a lot of kids really didn't have a lot of the attention that the parents would normally give them before that time.
These movies, and this franchise in particular, but the first two movies especially were very highly protested.
Yeah, they were.
Because everyone thought that this was going to incite violence in children.
Which is funny. The story about that is that, and I think it was David Kirshner went out. He was the producer. He went out and talked to the protests, and he was like, he said something to them. They were all protesting it, saying, "Oh, this is a horrible thing. You're teaching kids to kill and things like that." And they were like, he went out and talked to them, and they literally dispersed in seconds.
Absolutely.
There's talk of people who think that maybe he threatened them, and then there's other people that thought maybe he just explained it to
right?
them, right? Yeah, and so everybody's kind of curious, and he's never spoken about it. I don't think.
Well, I mean, a lot of horror movies are highly protested. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But I mean,
You push the boundaries, you always do.
in those times,
Yeah.
you've got to think back to when The Exorcist was released or when Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released. This is insane
Right.
to a lot of people, and
Too
it
much.
was too much. This was new territory, new grounds that were being covered, and people weren't okay with it.
It's
A
true.
lot of these church-going moms and church-going dads or whatever are looking at this shit going, "This is fucking smut."
Well, and
This
now
is
the
smut.
time
They're going
has.
to teach my children how to kill, and they're going to teach them how to fornicate, and they're going to be fucking sinners, and blah blah blah. And it's this horrible thing that's coming at their children, and they just have to think about the fact of don't take your fucking kids to this movie.
Right.
If that's
It's
the problem,
interesting,
don't take
though.
your kids. I mean, I feel like they were a lot stricter about the ratings and who could go and see movies back in the
then,
day
for
versus now.
I don't know. Sometimes stuff slipped through
It
that
does
I'm a little
slip through.
surprised.
It does. It absolutely does. Because I mean, I was going to see rated R movies when I was 12 years old. But
Yeah.
you know, sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But I mean, we would buy a movie ticket for a G-rated film, and we'd go sneak into a rated R movie. Like they are very lax about covering it. I mean, if you're gonna see it, you're gonna see it.
My parents always were cool with it because they knew that it was not real.
Oh, I wasn't even allowed to watch The Simpsons.
Really?
Yeah.
My parents, I grew up on that shit.
I used to sneak and watch Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons when I was 8 years old. And I wanted to watch it so bad. And I remember begging my mom to be able to watch The Simpsons when I was 9. And, like, she finally let me do it. Because, and you know what, to be honest, I mean, when did Jurassic Park come out?
So it was probably 1990, something like that.
Well, I watched Jurassic Park for the
1990,
first
1991.
time. I want to say I was 4, maybe 5.
Right.
And I convinced my parents that
Did you see it in the theater?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah.
VHS tape with my fucking convertible rewinder. I convinced them to let me watch Jurassic Park, and I feel like a lot of the limits that were set on me were for my reactions for Jurassic Park.
Right.
I was fine up until the leg bone of the goat that they fed to the T-Rex landed on top of the Jeep. And then the T-Rex comes up and it's like, blah, I'm fucking angry.
And then they
like,
chase, what's his name?
That whole sequence began, and then like I fucking screamed and came running to my mom, and it was more because I was sad about the goat.
Yeah, you were like,
I didn't
why?
give a shit about anything else.
What
And,
did the goat do?
My mom thought I was scared, and I was more upset about the goat. Like, my little animal rights activist inside me was so upset about this poor goat. I think that's kind of what set the standard for my parents as far as, like, you know. But The Simpsons were pretty fucking raunchy. Like, back in the day, they were kind of setting a standard that nobody really quite understood yet. And
punching your kids and as a joke. Like, you
they
know.
pushed the fucking envelope.
They really did, but then they became old and...
They're still funny. I don't care.
I think we're the same age.
Yeah, you must be like 40?
I'm 39.
Yeah. Yeah, we're about
my
the same
God,
age.
he admitted
I was
it
starting
on
to think
the
the same.
air.
I was starting to think the same fucking thing, dude. Because I was like, how does he
admitted
know all the same shit that I know? Like,
Mouse never admits how old he is.
well, I don't like saying. I don't say I'm
amazed
40.
right
I'm
now.
cutting the shit out.
I'm
so.
7.
He's a child.
Well, let's get back into this because we totally
Yes,
spaced on
let's
this.
do it. We do that.
Well, to give you guys kind of an idea, first of all, the movie came out. It was a $9 million budget for Child's Play.
Jesus, really?
It was $44.2 million they made at the box office for that movie. So,
pretty
needless
good for
to
88.
say, yeah, it made 4 times its budget. That's a success. May not be the biggest budget that any movie's ever made,
It had a
but
really slow release internationally, if I remember correctly.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't released until like the early 90s.
There was a lot of different
In
things. It
several
kind of
different
picked up
countries.
different places all over the world.
Yeah, I feel like in several different countries it wasn't released until the 90s.
And you know that when a movie does like 4 times its budget, there's probably going to be a sequel.
Oh, for sure.
Like, even if it's a shitty movie, if it does 4 times its budget, they're going to give it a whirl.
They're going to make another one.
Yeah.
Or even if it doesn't, they're still going to make another one that'll go straight to DVD.
I personally think that this movie is probably the scariest one. I'm not saying that it's scary necessarily for you or anything, but I think out of the entire franchise, this is the one that was the pinnacle of fear for dolls.
Absolutely.
Like, out of the entire franchise, it had a darker tone. It wasn't so much comedy. They took a lot of beats from, like, I Feel Like Freddy. Like, he became Freddy. So he kind of borrowed that same sort of asshole, quick line, like, one drop
Oh, for
fucking,
sure.
you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, it totally became like a Freddy, like, I don't want to say the worst parts of Freddy, but like, I just want to say, like,
I won't disagree
it
with that,
became
to be
like
honest.
that thing. But I think the first one it's definitely much more interesting in the sense that it is more simple.
Right.
I like that about it in a way because I really just like the first one a lot more, a little bit than the second one. I do like sequels. This is around a time where I loved sequels, first of all. Sequels are awesome because I grew up during the time of all the sequels.
Yes.
In the 80s, we just had nothing but sequels.
In
and-
the 80s and the 90s, sequels were interesting.
Yeah,
Now
they really were.
They're just terrible.
Well, they elaborated on the story and it went kind of balls to
Right.
the wall.
Yeah.
And I can see why people are a little bit more partial to the first one sometimes because it's like
Absolutely.
it carries a more more serious tone.
Well, when I look back at the franchise, like, I will say I did really like the second. I wish I would have been in that age group when it came out, because for me, I feel like it came out to me seeing it a little bit too late, and I didn't really understand.
Right.
I was a little bit more desensitized to things, you know, than kids in the 80s were. And for me, you know, I had a million fucking Spice Girls dolls, and I looked at this shit and went...
And now that they made a horror movie about Spice Girl dolls coming to life...
If they did, that'd be amazing. Because if you're talking about Spice World, that's not a fucking
But that's
horror
a huge
movie.
point,
it's an
though.
amazing movie.
If you think about it, like, we've been talking about how the 80s had a lot of dolls, and they really did. And we had what was it, My Monster? Or what was it called?
The blue one?
Like, it was purple, blue, and like Pet Monster, I think it was called.
Something
Pet Monster.
like that, yeah.
And he had chains that you could break. There were so many fucking dolls in the 80s, man.
Oh,
it was like the biggest selling fucking thing.
100%
Everybody wanted to make dolls.
Understand, but I can absolutely understand why people would feel the way that they do.
Totally.
And why
No,
they would
yeah.
be afraid of it, or why, you know, everybody had a fucking My Buddy doll or whatever, or they had something
I didn't
similar.
have a My Buddy. I didn't have
Or they
any of
had
that shit.
something
I had a
similar.
Cabbage Patch doll, though.
Right, something similar. They had a doll of some type that, you know, it was like an imaginary friend to them, or they would talk to it, they'd have conversations with it. And that's basically this doll that you would talk to every day, or you'd have fucking tea parties with.
Because your parents didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, because your parents are talking to you or whatever, or maybe your mom's at home but your dad's at work, or vice versa, and you really don't have that connection. You know, and a lot of people grew up with troubled pasts where they didn't have a connection.
Well,
with
it's
any of their
definitely
parents.
interesting to think about why dolls are scary, and definitely the time frame. I've never really considered that until we actually sat here and talked about it. And that's why I love
makes
about
sense.
doing this podcast, is because like we come together with these ideas. So
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, when you look at it and you really, like, take the psychological aspects of it and boil it down.
right. As far as Child's Play, though, there is some fucking pretty cool, interesting stuff. A lot of people always ask Andy, who the guy that played Andy, Alex Vincent, and asked him, you know, were you scared as a kid, like being next to Chucky? And he was like, no, dude. Like, there was like 20 people with wires and fucking
Yeah, I
like.
can't see that being scary.
He was like, there was never a moment where I was like in the room with the doll
I can
alone.
see if he was alone in a dressing room with just him and the doll, where he would probably be terrified.
It would, yeah, it's a little different. But when you got
Because
20 people around you,
You're not going to be worried.
yeah, it's not like it is in the movie where you're watching it.
Right.
They actually almost cut Brad Dourif's parts out, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they almost replaced him with a completely different voice, a woman's voice, I believe. It said that they were going to try to be another actor's voice to make Chucky talk the way it did. Like, they were going to keep Brad Dourif in as Charles Lee Ray, and then when he died, there was a different voice that was going to come out of the doll. And it almost sounded like they said, quote unquote, gay. And they were like, it didn't make sense because it sounded
Doesn't
very
make sense.
feminine compared to what Chucky was, which was like a foul-mouthed fucking asshole.
Foul-mouthed serial
Yeah.
killer that is a straight-up man.
yeah, like total misogynist, everything.
Absolutely. So that would not make sense at all.
It didn't make any sense. So they threw it out and begged Brad to come back because they were like, it clearly didn't work. It was like,
clearly.
it was pretty apparent that they were pretty desperate at that point in time. So they brought him back. So I didn't think it was a good choice. It might be like a good thing in his career that he's been able to be hired for all these things. But in the same respect, it's not like he's really acting. He's just doing voice acting.
Right.
So, and that's why one of my favorite movies that he's done that he acts, Exorcist 3. Like, I really think he did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah.
And if you watch, like, I
Wasn't
just
he
got the
nominated for
Scream
an award for
Factory.
that?
You might be right. The Exorcist 3, though, there's some extra stuff in there that you would never see. And they included in there in, like, its box format. It's kind of shitty to watch.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see it just because.
I know Chucky was nominated for a couple of awards. Too,
Yeah.
but I think they were
Freddy
like,
Krueger came out and...
I think they were like MTV Music.
Yeah, it was on
Awards, so.
in 2000 for the 2000 awards for part 2, actually.
He also crashed SNL.
Did he?
once, Chucky.
They've done a lot of stuff with like Jason, Freddy,
Yeah.
and I guess Chucky
crashed
too.
SNL too.
Really?
Yeah.
As an animatronic thing?
No, as Chucky. Yeah. He was on an episode of SNL. I don't know if he did like a full-on... I don't think he did a full-on episode, but I think he did like a cameo.
That's pretty cool, though. Do you want to tell us about the original story, though?
Yeah. The actual like original idea for this movie was he was going to make Chucky a manifestation of Andy's rage.
Right.
I personally feel like that would have been a way better story point than the whole voodoo curse.
Which was Tom Holland's idea.
Right. And I mean, it's an interesting idea in the 80s.
Sure,
You know, it makes
totally.
sense. But, and a lot of people maybe just didn't think it would play into, people wouldn't
They might have thought that nobody would have
understand.
gotten it. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. But I mean, they did try. If you really watch it, they really did try and play it out as long as they could to make you think, is it Andy or is it the doll?
Right. The weird thing, remember we were talking about how like there was different types of dolls. One would pee, one would cry, one would puke, one would poop, whatever. This one was going to be a doll that bled so that you learned how to take care of your friend. Kind of like My Buddy.
Essentially the Bloody Buddy doll.
Right. And that's what they called it, right?
Actually one of the original titles for the film was Bloody Buddy.
Right.
And it was, like I stated
Which is another
before,
nod towards My Buddy. Sorry.
It was so oh man. I mean, if
Someone needs to come out and say it.
so based on the My Buddy dolls, it's ridiculous. But original idea of Bloody Buddy, you know, and it was essentially where he was being bullied at school or, you know, in life in general, and he got too close and had too close of a relationship to this doll that he was given. So it started to...
He confided in this.
He did.
Yeah.
He confided in this doll, and this was basically his imaginary friend.
Right.
Essentially. And he built this relationship with this doll. What ended up happening were people in his life that were either close to him on, you know, a good basis or a bad basis, being bullies or parents or however it meant,
right,
you know, came out to be, were starting to, you know, get hurt or get killed, or something was happening, you know, with these people. The whole mystery behind it is this Andy, or is it his doll that's committing these crimes? And of course,
right,
nobody's going to look at this and go, obviously, it's, you know,
it's the doll. Yeah.
Because this inanimate object is not going to be slitting throats and fucking shoving fucking, you know, fireplace rods up people's asses or whatever, like tossing them out windows. Like, that's not going to happen. It's obviously this sick kid. Which there are many cases of, you know, children losing their fucking minds and killing their parents in very disgusting and horrible ways.
And blaming it on the doll.
And blaming it on the doll, or blaming it on a TV show or a comic book or a video game or something that they've seen. You know, it's not an uncommon thing. Honestly, I personally felt that this would have been a better idea for them to run with for the franchise versus the whole like voodoo aesthetic behind it.
And I'm definitely open to it. I think it's a really cool idea. One of the things that really tripped me out about that story was that he makes a blood brother with his doll that bleeds. Mm-hmm. And so when the doll cuts his thumb,
that's how it happens.
He cuts his own thumb and they share the blood. Mm-hmm. Fake blood and real blood, and that's when the doll finally comes to life.
Right.
Now, like you said, they don't know if it's the doll or not.
Exactly.
And we don't know if the doll's real or it's in his imagination and he's like carrying out the kills.
Well, and they absolutely allude to it, you know, in the movies, obviously, because nobody's going to come into a situation and believe that it's a fucking doll murdering people. They're going to look at it and go, there's a child here that's capable of putting on a mask or doing something to scare somebody to jump out of a window or fall out of a window, or that's capable of picking up a knife and stabbing somebody.
Right.
And they're not going to look at this inanimate object and think that it's actually going to be possessed by something.
Well, and they kind of play that on this in the movie, but
they absolutely do, especially in the beginning with the whole footprints and the flower on the counter.
What's that you got on your heel? And she's like, what are you doing? What are you trying to say?
She gets so upset about it. She's like, what are you insinuating? And it's like, well, fucking quite obviously, he's insinuating your fucking kid shoved your friend out the fucking window. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
What do you think, the doll did it?
What do you think? You think the fucking doll did it? Like, My Buddy is not fucking culprit at all. Like, he's my buddy. Like, we just sit and talk shit in the corner.
Sister did it.
Kid sister did it, bitch. Like, it's a cool little play on it that they do, but I just, myself personally, I just wish that that's what they would have ran with. Mm-hmm. But maybe at the time, I feel like it wouldn't have been as understood or as appreciated. I don't think they would have been able to build a franchise.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like they did with that storyline, because I feel like it was almost something that was a little bit too convoluted of a story. But I do really wish that they would have went with that original idea.
Right. You know, this movie in
Sorry?
particular, actually, there was some violence attached to it. Like, people were using Chucky as a means to fuck with people. One of the cases that was linked to the series was a gang of Manchester kidnappings, and they were murdering a 16-year-old girl, and while they tortured her, they forced her to listen to recordings of the gang leader repeating the catchphrase, "I'm Chucky, wanna play?" over and over and over and over again. And actually, director Tom Holland always defended the first film for these accusations, stating that the viewers of horror movies could only be influenced by their content if they were unbalanced to begin with.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily Chucky did it.
No, which he's absolutely, I'm sorry, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I agree,
In what he
100%.
said. And what
Yeah.
he said, you have to have some type of a chemical imbalance.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think it's crazy that someone was like, "Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? Wanna play? Wanna play?" Can you
I would go
imagine that?
fucking insane too.
While you're being tortured? Like,
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
I mean, just watching the films, to me, it's annoying enough to hear that stupid fucking voice going, "I'm Chucky, wanna play?" And I'm like, fuck you.
Hi, I'm Chucky.
I don't
Wanna
want
play?
Yeah, I want to throw you out a fucking window. I don't want to play. It's
Well, he threw
ridiculous.
her out the window.
Yeah,
so.
he did. He sure did.
Well, you mentioned that the movie was going to be called Bloody Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that there was another name for it after that?
There was
Batteries not included.
Yeah, but it was already taken.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg was writing the movie and did the movie.
That actually was the first name for it.
Was it? Oh, maybe you're right.
I
It
feel
says
like,
the
yeah.
original working title for the film was Batteries Not Included before it became known that Steven Spielberg was also
Yup.
making the film. So maybe you're right, but I thought it was Bloody Buddy first.
I'll have everybody know I'm raising my hands in a victory stance currently, going, ha ha ha.
There's a lot of information circling around. They said that supposedly that the good guy doll was actually inspired by the interactive doll called Corky.
The voice, actually. I'm
Yeah, the
pretty sure is
voice
the
of
actual voice
Corky.
for the Corky dolls.
Yeah, it was Eden Gross, which was used as a Chucky's normal voice.
That's one of the dolls that they actually admitted to being the one of the
would they
inspirations
not?
for Chucky.
They
was
probably
that
just didn't wanna
Corky
get their
doll,
ass
but I'm
sued.
pretty sure the actual voice that they use in him being like, "I'm Chucky, you want to play?" or whatever,
Right.
is actually from the Corky dolls.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That was interesting to find out.
It was.
And I never knew about Corky dolls, honestly. I didn't even know anything
Never
about
heard of that
it.
shit in my entire life.
Never heard of that.
It's probably some like off-brand.
Everybody fucking attributes it to my buddy. Sorry.
Right. I
Everybody
still
does.
think
if
it's...
you knew anything from dolls in the fucking 80s,
It's
it's
totally
attributed
my
to my
buddy.
buddy. Kids are being fucking scared and they don't want their parents to buy them these dolls anymore, and parents don't want to buy them for their kids anymore, and
Yeah,
especially
this is
with
gonna kill
crimes that
'em.
are being reported as, they're doing these because of the fucking doll told them to, or
Kids
whatever.
are literally going to get away with murder.
Yeah, literally.
So what are your guys' favorite scenes?
I think like the opening kill sequence for me is probably my favorite.
When he hits her in the head with a hammer?
Hits her in the head with the hammer.
The
and
good
she
guy
falls
hammer.
out the window. But it's another thing that I read actually was somebody's sister that actually plays is running, like the good guy doll that's running around in the background. Is that Brad Dourif's daughter that's doing it?
Actually,
or was it Alex? It was Alex Vincent's sister.
It was Alex Vincent's sister. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
and
was
she
the one that
actually-
ran through the hallway.
Right, but then later in the franchises, the actual moving pieces of the doll were played by the creepy fucking kid that was in Children of the Corn.
Oh, Hezekiah or whatever the fuck.
The one that played, what was his name? Micah? Not Micah.
Malachi?
Malachi, that's the one, yeah.
The kid that played Malachi in Children of the Corn, he actually ended up being like the moving parts running or
later on
jumping
in the
or whatever
series.
later on in the series. This is
Okay,
like
I was
what
gonna
what I
say-
saw, because it's an interesting tie-in that they end up doing, and if you do some like deep research,
Because
on
they did
films.
do a little person for a lot of the scenes in the first.
Yeah,
and
well,
the second
I know
one.
in the first one it was his kid sister that did
Just the running in the hall.
just the running in the hall
Yeah.
in that particular sequence.
Right.
That was it. And then later on in the franchise, it was actually the little weird kid that plays Malik. Oh, kid's so creepy.
Because you could tell, like, when
on
he's, like,
TV.
burning and he's about to stab Andy, like, there's, like, he's, like,
that was a
standing
person.
over him. Yeah, it was a real
Oh, yeah,
person.
that
That's
was
what
a
I'm
real
saying. It
person.
was a little
yeah,
person.
that was an actual real stunt double.
Yeah. It
They
was
did
like
that.
they had to do some scenes with mechanic or like animatronic. They had to do some with like real people, and they even built the set to 30% bigger so that it would
that
look
feel.
like
Yeah.
Like he was running around as a doll.
Yeah.
So that's pretty elaborate. They did something very similar in the
Which-
Gate movies. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
They did they built the whole scene so that people could walk around like those little
Right.
minion things.
Which this is why shit in the 80s looks better than stuff now.
They don't put the effort in.
No,
they just
don't.
CGI
They rely
the
on
fuck out of it.
CGI
Yeah.
to get them out of it. And if you look at the new trailers for the new Cult of Chucky, and just in the trailer and in the images alone, and you take that and you compare it to the original Child's Play film, it's like we went backwards in time.
Right.
It's ridiculous. The doll looks so fake. And
Some of the head is a little weird.
it's so unproportionate, and it just looks so stupid.
There is some parts that I was like,
ugh.
ugh.
No, it looks so bad. It's
not very flattering
The
of you,
trailer that
Chucky.
I've seen, I'm like, oh no. No.
I will say one of my favorite scenes though is the voodoo doll scene where they're where he's
yeah.
like snapping his
His
arm
friend- yeah,
and
with
then his
the
leg.
his
Dude,
friend or
I
whatever,
fucking
yeah.
loved that scene. I
That
thought that
scene's
was
great.
cool. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, he's like standing on the counter. That whole thing was an animatronic. They had him sit down on the counter, and then he like jumps down off the counter and like breaks his leg and all that. That
Breaks
fucking
his
was
arm
cool as shit.
and stabs him in the heart.
Yeah.
That scene's fantastic.
That was cool.
I do really like that scene, but I feel like the putting like kill sequences.
Oh,
like, just set
totally.
the tone for the film.
When that fucking doll ran past in the hallway and you hear its little feet running, that was really freaky to me. When I was a kid, that scared me a
Well,
lot.
it's done really well. Like even it still holds like.
Can
the
you
test of
imagine?
time now? Oh no!
Just
I
sitting
can't.
there watching TV
This is
or
another
reading
thing,
a book.
like, I would be trying to find where that fucking doll came from so I could throw it out the goddamn window.
Yeah.
Like
Obviously, the other great scene that I liked was the end scene. The whole end was just great.
Oh, the melted face. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's
like-
so good.
He was like, "Hey, Andy," and he's got like
And
he
he's,
looks like he's got
apologizing.
worms on his
yeah,
face
he's
or
like,
something.
I'm sorry. Like, don't kill me. Like, he's trying to be this. He's trying to reach out to him on an
Right.
empathy level.
I'm your friend
And
to
I'm
the
your friend
end.
to the end. You know, he's just and he's trying to relate to him so he doesn't.
This is the end,
Yeah,
friend.
oh, so great. This is the end, friend. And it's just like fire. And I'm like, yes! Like, so good! Like, you cute ass little fucking kid. Like, you're so adorable. That would be my son if I had children. Like,
Right?
this crazy little, like, demon fire burning fucking
And
creature.
did I mention how they picked him for the movie?
No. you didn't,
They actually picked him. Andy was picked. He was, the part in the movie where he's talking about, he's like, "Oh, Aunt Heather's a bitch."
Yeah.
That whole scene, like, that was one of the scenes that they had to act in because they needed a kid to be able to say the cuss word bitch.
Right. That's when
And
he's saying that's what the doll told him.
Yeah, exactly. He said, Chucky says Aunt whatever her name is a
Yeah.
bitch. And when they did the casting and they were actually having him do it, he said Andy, the Alex Vincent who played Andy, was like, "I can't say this. I understand that you want me to say it, but I can't say it." He's like, "But you can say it, right?" And he was like, "No, I can't say it." And they thought that he was pretending to not want to say it so bad or something, and then he ended up getting the part because they thought, well, he's convinced us, so we should pick him as the kid. So they picked him as the kid, and he got in it. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? So he was like, I wasn't lying. I really couldn't say it. Like, my mom, I wasn't allowed to say that kind of
I get
stuff.
backhanded.
Yeah. Get thrown down the hall like
My
a Chucky
mom's
doll.
gonna actually throw me around like a Chucky doll and burn me in a fireplace if I say the B word. It's probably pretty legit.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for the Child's Play, the first one. Now we probably got to jump into the second one for time's sake. For part 2, obviously, it came out a couple years later, 2 years later.
It was 1990, right?
Yep, 1990 on the nose. The story
That's
was...
when I was born. Ah,
the story was...
baby Britney.
The story was, while Andy's mother is admitted to a psychiatric hospital, the young boy is placed in a foster care, and Chucky, determined to claim Andy's soul, is not far behind. It was directed by John LaFia, he did the movie Man's Best Friend with Lance Henriksen. It was a weird robot dog type thing. It wasn't a bad movie, but he also did a few TV show episodes and a TV movie. Nothing really that notable after that.
Yeah.
It was also written, of course, back by Don Mancini. And the cast for this movie, I personally feel like, had a lot of big names in it. Like, this time it was like, okay, it's okay to be in a Chucky movie now. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was like, okay, yeah, I'll sign up.
Right.
Alex Vincent returns as Andy. Jenny Agutter, Garrett Graham, who was in Chud 2,
Mm-hmm.
He was also in Terror Vision. If you haven't seen that movie, that's fucking great. Christina Leese, who played Kyle, the foster sister, and she was in 90210.
Yep.
Probably one of the best shows ever. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
Did you watch it or
Mouse did.
did you? I mean, I watched it.
Yeah, I saw some.
Well, my brother watched it like religiously, so.
Obviously, Brad Dourif came back as Chucky.
Duh.
Beth Grant. Did you ever see Donnie Darko? Mm-hmm. She was in that. I think one of my favorite lines that Beth Grant said, she was like, "Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion." It was so fucking funny to me.
Jesus.
But I thought everybody did a pretty decent job in the movie, and this budget was a bigger budget too.
As sequels go, well, it had to be the last
With all the
fucking
characters.
scene of that movie. Jesus,
Right.
you gotta have a big budget just for that in particular.
Yeah, they made magic. Well, they had about $4 million more this time to make the
I
sequel.
feel like that extra $4 million.
Yeah,
went
so
to the last 20 minutes of that film.
$13 million for that, but opening weekend it only did $10 million.
Didn't do that well.
Almost about 11. And then it grossed about 28 million in the USA, less than $500,000 in the UK, 7 million worldwide. So I guess they did beat their budget, but it didn't quadruple it like they did the first time.
No, it was more of like one of those slow burn kind of like franchise films.
Right.
It came where it got its success a little bit later on.
Yeah. I think
You
this
know,
one stepped it up a little bit more.
And a lot of these movies from the 70s and 80s, like these cult classic thrillers and slasher films, are getting their popularity now.
Right. Yeah, no,
You know,
I mean...
they did big time when they came out, but they're I almost feel like they're making more money now than they did when they were released.
Right.
You know, and these people that are going, oh my god, these movies are amazing. You know, these set the tone to get me into horror films, and these are the classics, and this is where it's at, and da 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 da. And now you're having these icons that are at these conventions that people get to meet, and it's reopening the world to these people.
Right.
And you know, and Gunnar Hansen said it a million times that he never thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre would become a cult classic. He never thought it was going to take off the way that it did.
That's pretty crazy, right?
You know, and Texas Chainsaw's, you know, not too far away from their 50-year anniversary.
Right.
It's still going strong. It's still making money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think Chucky is necessarily one of the biggest franchises, for sure.
In my opinion, no.
It's a little bit of a latecomer to the whole franchise, I think.
And I always feel like it was kind of a reach for it to be considered in a classic slasher genre,
Right.
among the likes of Jason and Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers
Right.
and Leatherface.
Right.
I felt like that was kind of a stretch, but he is considered amongst them.
Oh,
in
100%,
the classic
yeah.
slasher
I don't like when
genre.
they compare the Scream franchise to it.
Ew, no.
I always think, I'm like, that's not really a slasher. Like,
No,
it is, but it isn't.
I'd rather watch Child's Play than Scream.
Right, yeah.
So I
I mean, I still am okay to watch it,
no,
but...
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny, but that was kind of where they started to play with the more comical aspect of
Right.
things. And like Freddy Krueger films, like,
Sure.
you know, Nightmare on Elm Street and things like that, they started to play a little bit. And obviously Friday the 13th is very campy.
Right.
And very silly.
Well, and part 2 of Freddy was, like, really weird.
Yeah, but I mean, but the Freddy movies are all very campy and very silly, and they have
Sure.
very, you know, they try to make all these stupid raunchy jokes, and they did the same thing with Chucky. Mm-hmm. And I felt like when they started to do the Scream series franchise, how many movies are there? 3? 4?
No, there's 6.
Is there 6? Are you
I think there is.
kidding me?
There's 5 or 6.
Jesus.
I think it's 5. They just did one recently, not too many years ago, like 3 years ago.
Holy fuck.
Wasn't it? There's like a Scream 5 or something.
so.
Yeah. As far as Chucky goes, though, like the sequel to this one, I thought amped it up a little bit more.
Oh, I
like
loved
I thought
it.
there was some really cool kills in it,
Absolutely.
and I think that it had like while it wasn't as scary as like I say, like the first one is scarier, an overall feel.
Yeah.
Like it is a scarier movie, but the second one definitely is where I feel like Chucky became Chucky.
Right.
Like that's where
Well, he came into his own.
yeah, like that's where the franchise
He was
where it
independent.
took off from there for as like who Chucky was.
Right. He's absolutely independent in the second film.
Right.
Versus, and it becomes more about
It's not as confined.
revenge.
Yeah.
It becomes more about revenge, and he is literally his own little person. in
Right.
that instead of, and he wants to be a actual person. He doesn't want to be stuck in this fucking shell of a doll. And I did like that a lot more about it, and a lot more about what the second film than the first.
Yeah, there's much more Chucky personality in the second one.
It had more feel to it. And
yeah.
I don't know. There's so many like disconnecting moments where I look at it and go, that would never happen in real life.
Right.
That would never happen.
Well, like when he shoots out the windshield, like that would never happen. It's a fucking doll, dude. It's not gonna break the windshield.
Right. But I mean, even like in the first one where he is going to his partner's house and he rides the fucking subway by himself.
What,
this
doesn't
little
he go to
6-year-old kid or whatever.
Yeah,
by
that is a little weird. To the ghetto.
Doll, even on the subway alone.
Right.
And no one says shit, even when he stops in the fucking ghetto.
Right, yeah.
And it's just, all they show is homeless
this
people
dilapidated
or drug
area.
addicts
It's
or
not
whatever.
even a ghetto. It's like just fucking.
It's not even ghetto. It's literally just a dilapidated, like kind of a shitty area. It looks like that's where they filmed Shameless, like
or Seven.
Or Seven. Excellent movie, by the way.
Well, and I think that's where
I overanalyze.
That's where they probably had to piece it together in the first one, whereas the second one, he's like Chucky Unleashed.
Yeah.
And it's like, half of the first movie, it's like Andy, pretty much. And it's all about Andy, but in the same respect, it's like at the end of the movie is when you really start to find out about Chucky.
Oh, yeah.
Like more than half the way through.
They actually delve more into Chucky's backstory.
Right.
In the second movie. And then there's actually a novel. And in the second novel about Chucky is where they really talk about his backstory.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I was doing a little more research
it like fan
about
fiction
it. And
or what?
No, it's a straight up book. When I read this and I said they wrote a fucking book about this, like it's like basically an adaptation from the films that they took and they put more detail into for an actual novel.
Interesting.
The story of Chucky and
I don't know if
how he became who he was.
I wonder about like how quality it is.
It's
like I'm not trying to be a dick, but like
I understand.
It's like, is it really that good?
It's probably not.
It's not a bestseller. Obviously,
I feel like it was probably someone that looked into it and then went in the ideas that were behind the stories and kind of like we're fucking ram with it, almost like a fan fiction type thing without the porno.
And I wonder if it like kind of bridges the gap between 1 and 2 because there's a lot of characters that weren't in the second one that were supposed to be in the second one, but for whatever reason, a lot of people got cut out or they just didn't bring him in. What's her name? The mom of Andy was dating the special effects Andy, the guy who did they were married.
They married in 1990.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
So she was actually on the set for Child's Play, and then she came back only to be alongside of him to help him out for part 2.
Yeah, 'cause she's not in it.
Even though she wasn't in the film.
So weird to me because we are supposed to connect with the fact that his mom's not around anymore, but
Why?
it's not explained.
Yeah.
Why is she not there? Why is he in a foster home? It doesn't. Yeah. If they talk about it, it's a very brief, like, sudden allusion to the fact of why he's in a foster home. Well, obviously, she supported her son.
Right.
And so she ended up getting locked up in a fucking loony bin. But there should have been, I feel like, a little bit of a flashback to that. Or maybe a little bit more time spent on explaining that story.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, if you had someone on the set that was there, like, wouldn't you try to, like, incorporate some little bit of a story or something,
I think it was that year that they were married, actually. It was 1990.
It was like right in between, like they met on the set of Child's Play, then that next year they got married, and then they did the movie the next, like they were like, and they've been together ever since, I think.
I think they're still together.
Yeah, Kevin Yeager is his name. And also another person that was supposed to come back was Chris Sarandon, who was the cop. The cop. Yeah. And he was supposed to come back as Detective Mike Norris from the first film, but his scenes were cut from the film because of budgetary shit.
They were probably boring.
Maybe. I don't know.
They probably didn't do a very good job
when you cut scenes, it's not usually because of budgetary.
That's what I'm saying.
So
like I feel like it didn't tie the way they wanted to into the story, or it felt unnecessary.
Some of the stuff that they were going to use in the first, like the Bloody Buddy, was actually used in the second one, and that was the teacher scene where she gets killed.
Oh, so awesome! By the way.
Beth Grant, she was getting killed by Chucky, and they brought that from the original Bloody Buddy. Or is that what it is?
Blood Buddy.
Blood Buddy, yeah, Bloody Buddy. Hey, want some blood, buddy?
Because that's
I thought that was a pretty cool scene. One of the things that I remember about that scene, though, when the teacher gets attacked by Chucky, because she throws him in the closet and locks the door, and he's trying to get out, and then Andy escapes, and then they fucking attack. Is the part where he takes that toy, the pump,
to blow it up,
blow
up the air balloons or
and
whatever.
He sticks it in her neck, and he pumps it. And I remember as a kid thinking, because, when you do get a shot, you're not supposed to have air in there because it'll fucking kill you.
Right.
So, he sticks it in her neck and then pushes it. And I always thought it was, one of those things that I was like, ooh, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it doesn't hit a major artery
it's
or a
okay.
major vein, it's not going to do anything.
It's just going to flap up the skin.
Exactly. But if it got into her fucking jugular vein, it's going to take a little bit of time for that to pass through her body and actually kill her.
Painfully.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, she'd be feeling it the whole time. But if he actually passed it through her jugular and inserted a actual air pocket into her jugular vein, yes, that would end up killing her. But it was
but it wasn't
a little
obviously.
bit of time to get through there. But obviously, that's not what they did because he ended up killing her with the yardstick.
Yeah.
So
over and over again.
And over.
As the camera pans back and you just see the bloody fucking thing.
It was hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
She was a fucking bitch. So.
And she didn't even want to do the role at first, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
She was hesitant about it, and supposedly she actually hit up one of the other actress Dinah Manoff, who played Maggie in the first Child's Play.
Okay.
Asking her advice about it, and she said, well, if you see Child's Play, you'll find me in it. I'm in it. And so I guess Beth Grant was like, well, she took it as a good omen, and she decided that she was going to be in the movie. Which, it's not the highlight of her career, but it's just always funny when you watch movies later on in life, and you see them in other movies, and you're like, oh, she was in Donnie Darko.
Right.
Do you have any other trivia that you wanted to add to it? Did you know that the Tommy doll that they used in this movie, in Child's Play 2, was actually named after Tom Holland?
Really?
Yeah, who did the first movie. That's one of I love that scene.
I actually love the implementation of the Tommy doll.
Dude, I thought that the whole him digging a hole for the doll after bashing its face in.
Him smashing his face in with that stupid ornament was hilarious.
Right, dude. And it was so fucking brutal, and then he buries it?
The first thing I think of when they walk into that house of these foster parents, this is so not a fucking child-friendly home by any fucking means.
Especially Garrett Graham's character, the dad.
Why? The mom is great.
Yeah.
I can see her being a foster mom 100%, but him?
Yeah, he was just like, I love you, and this is what you want to do, so I have to support you.
Absolutely. He's entirely apprehensive the entire time, and you get that vibe from him the whole time, and I don't know if that's what he was going for with the character, but you really get that vibe of he's very apathetic and very unsure about the whole situation, where you shouldn't be feeling that until later on. Instead, you're feeling it the whole time.
Right.
With this character,
well, you can tell he just does not like having the kids there.
But that home,
he just wants some bang time. I am that's with all.
Kids. I'm just like, oh no. I don't want it all the time. It can visit, but then you could take it the fuck home to your own house about 50 miles away from here.
Well, he gets his due.
Oh, he does. It was excellent.
Yeah, he gets his neck broken. It's kind of like the most casual death too.
It was the most casual death. I feel like it was just so nonchalant, do lottie fucking dog. No one cares. He trips him down and he gets strung up for just a second, and then all of a sudden it's well, bye, snap your neck.
Bye bye, daddy gone.
And no one's sad about it. No one cares. When you watch it, you're just that guy's kind of a fucking dick
except for the mom.
Well, fuck her. That's the dick she shoved in her butt for the last 20 years. Of course she's gonna be sad about it, but I think secretly she was happy.
Really? Yeah.
Until she dies.
Well, yeah, he was kind of a pain in the ass.
He was an asshole. If I am this foster kid and your big solution to the fact of this doll I'm fucking terrified of, that I'm pretty sure killed people in front of me, is to just throw it in a fucking cellar.
Right.
And that's it. That's it. That's your big.
You see, it's dead. Look, it's down there again.
And that's your solution to the
goddamn
problem.
Chucky's laying in the same spot.
When I know for a fact I saw it killing people in front of me, and then you're going, oh, look, it's down there still.
Well, that's the whole story, crazy. Right? It's always somebody not believing him.
Those are the parts where it comes back to it being the manifestation of his rage, which I did like that they implemented it a little bit more solidly in the second film.
Did you have another favorite scene though?
I love the ending sequence of the film.
Yeah, me too.
I do. And I feel
the whole thing is great.
They really led into a really cool sequence they could have done for the third installment where they could have had a fucking straight up army of Chuckies.
I was thinking that too. They've never done that.
Army, but they did ask him about why they didn't do that, why they didn't go that direction, because that's almost what it alludes to. Like, instead, if you really pay attention,
that's part 3, actually.
If you really pay attention, they kind of dissolve it down into he was like displayed into all of these different productions of this doll. So now a part of him is going to be in all these different like mass-produced versions of this doll. And so I'm like, that could be a whole fucking crazy army of Chuckies that's unstoppable. Like, holy fuck.
Or at least he could switch to any of them.
And he can go back and forth. Yeah.
Right,
he
yeah.
can completely just
like that's what I would think.
You never know which one he's going to be embodying at that moment. But he did end up coming back saying it because of budgeting. They wouldn't have had enough.
And this is for part 3 you're talking about, right?
This is just after 2.
Yeah,
like to
totally.
continue into 3, 4, 5,
because
whatever.
the part 3, when it starts out,
Why
it's like you see the blood and it gets mixed in with the plastic. And
why
then
they didn't do that idea after they ended the second
it
film
could have gone horribly
was
wrong,
because
but
of the budgeting behind it. It's
right,
like
but would have
we
been
simply couldn't afford it. We couldn't
Right.
afford to make that kind of a film.
But the whole fucking end scene in part 2, just him like getting chopped in half, or he got
fucked
stapled.
in that movie.
No, he got stapled to
In his crotch.
seat. Yeah,
Oh, it was amazing.
It was like the hair that they put in.
The hair follicle pieces that they staple in, but then the little plastic like tag pieces.
yes,
Is
that's
what it
right.
was. It's those little plastic pieces that attach a tag to a clothing.
Right.
And they staple the shit into his fucking nuts and berries, like, with the hair and those plastic pieces.
Yeah.
And it is fucking hilarious because he's a straight up full human version stuck inside this doll at this point, so he feels everything.
Yeah.
And they were just, like, legitimately said, fuck your nuts and balls, like, or balls and whatever, same thing.
And they send him in that to the
Fuck
little
your cock
box.
and balls. And they're like, blah, 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 and it was hilarious.
And then he gets taken up to that big box. The big box,
Yeah.
like, puts arms and legs on all the different dolls.
And it's just like this hodgepodge of shit.
In, like, really hot heat, so it, like, melts it in there. So it, like, firmly keeps the arms and legs in there. And he's just, like, this fucking mangled Picasso fucking
But
Chuck.
it's just his bottom half.
Right, yeah. Well, he rips
Which
himself free.
No one knows until later. Yeah.
Right,
That's
yeah.
His big reveal of being him without any legs. He's like, I'm going to chop your fucking legs off.
And then they pour the plastic on him. Andy pulls the fucking lever up, spills all the plastic on his face, and then
And then all of a
Chucky...
sudden, the problem with the machine is fixed.
Right, yeah, I know. Like, and I was thinking about that whole scene. I'm like, that's pretty close to a kid.
Yeah.
Like, that can't be real. Like, there's no way.
Well, how is that? I'm sorry, but like to me, I look at that and go, how in the motherfuck is that little child unhinging that
While he's
trap?
getting his hand burned off.
Yeah. Well, I don't compute here, as this girl is very slowly riding up the conveyor.
Britney, no compute.
Which is like obviously now going suddenly slower than it was prior to her being stuck on it.
I think that part was what led it to that,
Absolutely.
you know, because now Andy is like in control of his life.
Yeah,
he can't
comes into
depend
his
on
own.
anything. Yeah,
He comes into his own as a character in the actual like factory
right.
scenes.
And then the end scene is basically where they stick a tube in his
Fucking
mouth.
blow him up.
His head explodes into a
Excellent.
chunky fucking plastic and blood filled explosion, which is beautiful. Like, I love that scene. Like,
Oh, that ending scene is so like that's GIF worthy.
and then even the
GIF
third
worthy,
movie
whatever.
like leads into them picking that up off the floor. And it's this sloppy, flappy, fucking plastic and blood thing. And it's pretty gross. Like, I don't know. I just, the plastic and blood is really weird. Like, seeing it it's like very fleshy in a weird way.
It is. It looks very realistic. There again, and lies the issue of how we can't recreate this shit nowadays.
Right.
Because everybody's fucking lazy about it.
CGI.
They rely on CGI for everything, and that's the same of, like, God forbid if they try and fucking redo Hellraiser. It's gonna be terrible.
Oh, and they already tried,
I know.
and it didn't work.
And it didn't work out, and I hope that it continues to not work out.
Yeah, well, they're
because-
never going to have enough money to do it because no one thinks it's a good bet.
No, it's not.
It's like betting on the wrong horse, you know what I mean? You just know.
It's betting on the one with the broken
Yeah,
leg
you
that's halfway in the glue factory.
Always
Like, don't
bet
do
on
it.
Doug Bradley.
Yeah. Fucking Doug Bradley. Amazing human.
What about you? What about you? Did you have any favorite scenes or anything that you can think of? Or
I think my favorite part's the eyeball machine.
oh yeah,
He didn't know that
Which
was
part?
actually legitimate.
When the machine puts the eyeballs in the dude.
into the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The machine worker, yeah.
yeah, and he's like, that is pretty cool. I like that too.
We had an actual conversation after that where I was like, did you know that that's legitimately how they insert eyeballs into the dolls?
Now, here's the big question, guys. I mean, now that we've seen both of these movies, and it's been a little while since we've seen it, what do you guys think is the better of the two? Like, honestly, like, I don't care what you think. Like, what is your favorite? I mean, they're both kind of different, you know?
I think I like the first one.
Show me what you got.
Yeah? Why do you say that?
I like beginnings of things,
Origins,
I guess. Yeah. I just like seeing where it came from. Like,
Sure.
I'm not necessarily all that big on where it goes, but
Right.
seeing where it comes
Why
from.
it started out the way it did.
The simplistic kind of feel to it, and just like...
And I like the voodoo weirdness. I don't know.
I don't mind it either. I thought it was kind of different for its time. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a version of Blood Buddy.
Blood Buddy.
Yeah.
That does
I
sound
wish
better.
it was Blood Buddy. I don't know. That's
more
me,
psychological.
Like, my overanalyzation of everything.
Did you ever see a movie called Pinocchio? It's
They
very
actually-
similar to that.
They stole the premise.
Yeah, it seems like.
And then no, they straight up did. They actually stole the premise of the original idea behind Child's Play, and they said that's a fucking excellent plan, and then they ran with it. It's all right, you know.
Yeah,
they didn't
I don't
do it
remember it being
justice
great.
the way that I feel like they should have, but at least somebody did the fucking plan. I don't know.
I think
It
they
was
left.
cool.
They didn't leave it open either.
No,
They just said, "Oh yeah,
they
it's in his
closed
head."
it. Done.
Yeah.
That was it.
Hey, it's in his head. Game over. Movie over.
Yeah,
Good
and
luck.
I felt like how they did the Child's Play film, that if they would have stuck with the original plan behind it, they could have kept going.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe for as many sequels as they did, but I mean, and he did a good job with trying to keep it at the illusion.
And what if the
could-
kid died and he was actually all his rage went into the
Yeah,
doll?
and I feel like they could. I don't know. I
Could have been like that.
but
You still like part 2.
I like part 2 more.
Yeah, it's a more action packed.
I enjoyed part 2 more than part 1 because
Right.
I felt like it was a little bit more interesting for me. And as I've already stated, the final 15 minutes of that film were just fantastic.
Right.
Them trying to find their way out of there, and then to me,
Okay.
I look at that going like, this is how they're this is The Shining a little bit influenced in there, you know?
Okay.
And it's a lot of little bits and pieces of other horror films that I feel like are kind of put into that movie in different elements in different ways, and that's how I interpret it anyway.
Sure.
But I absolutely love the fact when they shoved the stupid hose in his mouth and his fucking
Oh,
head
yeah.
blows up. Excellent.
I think if
As
you
much as I loved him being on fire and melting and shit in the first at the
Right.
end, and it was so good, but I struggled with the fact if she knows how to fucking end this curse, yet she can't shoot him in the goddamn heart.
right. Yeah.
What the fuck is she doing?
Well, I mean,
Don't give this bitch a gun.
can't make it easy.
Like, come on.
if it was that easy, you know.
I felt like I had more issues with things happening in the first film that I feel like could never actually happen in real life, or why would that ever happen, than I did in the second.
Really? Well, and
But-
the second one's balls to the wall.
The second, my biggest issue with that is, why the fuck would you not just get rid of this goddamn doll? Why would you throw it in a cellar?
yeah.
Like, that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, and if I was that kid, I would have somehow tried to get rid of this.
Well, no
fucking
matter what he
doll.
would have done with it, it would have gone.
It would have
come
came
back,
back
yeah.
somehow. Right, but I feel like they could have put it forth a little more fucking effort than throwing it in the goddamn cellar.
Yeah, that was a little lame.
And I don't even think there's a lock on the fucking cellar door. Like, I'm sure there was. Like, there actually is one, because they show when he comes in and out, when he's like listening
They show his
to
little
them.
hand.
They show there is a lock on the actual door, but they never show anyone locking it. And that's, like I said, I overanalyze everything, so I look at little pieces of this and go, hang on a second.
I like the first one for the simplistic scare without explaining too much. I mean, it did explain a lot more. In a way, the first one's kind of like a sequel in a way, because it explains more than most horror movies. But it's
Well, yeah,
still a little bit more...
The opening scene is almost 10 minutes.
It's like, it's a little bit more mysterious and slow burn for at least the first half of the film, and that's what I really like the most about it, is the first half of the film. I mean, I like where it goes at the end, but it's almost like two movies in one in that sense. It wasn't an independent film, so they had enough budget to go further, but if you were to do an independent film, that first half of the movie, if you stretched it out, would have been like really scary. And that's what they did kind of with The Curse of Chucky. They tried to go back to it. It just didn't feel, it felt synthetic. Didn't feel right. I mean, I still kind of appreciate that it went for that, because at least they realize, you know, maybe people wanted to see the scary stuff and take the doll back to being scary. Well, and that's funny because now we're talking about Chucky and how as it went on, it's like became more funny and a mix of like gore and funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
they lost the story.
But it became kind of spoofy, like a little too spoofy. Like,
absolutely.
Bride of Chucky was like the first really big budget, like spoofy kind of feel.
Oh, I remember having to like sneak around to watch that.
And then Seed of Chucky just went even further. Like I remember they were having puppet sex, and that was like a big deal. Do you remember that shit? And fucking Bride of Chucky? Yeah, it was Bride of Chucky.
Sorry.
He's like,
oh, it's Bride of Chucky. Where
did you get any protection? And he's like,
oh, it's ridiculous.
Baby, I'm all rubber.
All rubber.
And I'm thinking of like, Brad, like, do you know what you're doing right now?
Stupid, derpy ass fucking child.
But Don Mancini actually ended up writing all of them.
Right.
Like, and David Kirshner did all the production of all of them too.
Like,
so
and
it's like,
that's another rare thing, is that it's all original writers and people behind it.
right.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, it's interesting. I mean,
Especially
it's
something that starts in the 80s and is still going now.
you can't go, oh, well, they had different bad writers for that. No, they just had.
Same writer.
They were just like, fuck it, let's see what we can do.
And
like,
I'm sure he had a great story.
right.
Every single one.
And it's so hard because like we watch these movies and it's like, now you want to finish the whole fucking thing. So, I mean, there's obviously some appeal to these. There's obviously some sort of appeal. So it's
how bad does it get?
it's then, and that's when you realize, you go, oh, maybe these aren't as bad as I thought they
They're
were.
not bad.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
Well, it's not like I didn't think they were bad, but I just wasn't as excited about it.
There's worse movies. Scream.
I could probably watch all of those too, probably one day.
Can't. And
One day we'll have to do it,
now
Brittany.
they've got that fucking Scream Queen show, and
Scream Queen season 1 was really funny.
Rather not.
Was really funny. Second
thank
season,
you.
I couldn't even watch.
I fucking hate Emma Roberts, so
Oh, you don't like?
No. As a franchise whole,
Okay.
if I have to say my favorite film in the entire franchise,
Okay.
is the original Child's Play.
Okay.
Like the number one. That's my favorite. Is taking the franchise as a whole.
Okay.
However, if you're gonna pin 1 and 2 against each other,
Yeah.
I prefer 2.
Okay. So you just like it that it took it further.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I felt like they weren't as held back or didn't feel as reserved.
Well,
And
if you count Mouse's and I's opinion, you lose. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, whatever. Well,
I'm kidding. No, but it totally makes
I
sense.
have
Like,
boobs and a vagina. I win all the time.
it totally makes sense. I mean, it's kind of two separate films in a lot of ways. Like,
Right.
and like I said, even the first one is like almost like two different pieces.
So anybody all of you that are listening that really fucking love the franchise,
Yeah.
I want to know why.
Yeah.
I want to know why you
Not
love
why
this
because you're an
franchise.
idiot for liking it.
Yeah,
Why? Why is it that you like it?
I don't want you to just come out and be like, well, I fucking love Chucky and I love fucking Child's Play and blah, blah, blah. And don't give me any fucking juicy reason behind it. I want a
Right.
juicy reason behind why you like this franchise. And, like,
Maybe they'll hate the
why it was a
orphanage
thing.
or whatever that you
Exactly.
like.
If you hate the orphanage, you're stupid. But, I mean, I'm just kidding. I want to know what makes people connect to this
Sure.
franchise and why they feel like Chucky can be up there in the same caliber with all the other classic
Oh, the
slashers
yeah.
as Jason and Freddy and Leatherface and Michael Myers.
And Scream,
And
obviously.
fuck Scream. But I want to know why. Like, why do you feel like he's on the same caliber, not just the stupid witty jokes, on the same borderline as Freddy has? Like, I want to know why.
I think it's always going to boil down to nostalgia. I think that's really.
And I think we kind of hit the
root.
nail on the head a little bit too, because a lot of people that really enjoy this franchise, that was their time.
Right.
Was
the
when it came
80s,
out
yeah.
and they had the fucking My Buddy doll, or they had a similar doll to it, and they went, "This is fucking creepy."
Do kids really get dolls that much anymore? Like,
No.
I mean.
Well,
I don't
no,
know.
fuck, man. Now they've got those stupid fucking Monster High dolls, which is what I turned my Barbies into.
But that's all I can think of. Like, I don't think of, like. I mean, I'm sure they have teddy
well, I think
bears
they
and
still have
stupid
that
shit.
La La Loopsy or something doll, which I
Okay,
think pees or
Oopsie
shits
Daisy.
herself or whatever the fuck she does. I don't know. They feed her.
Do you remember that doll?
I just know, like, my niece, I'll use my niece as an example, actually. Like, she likes, like, the American Girl dolls.
Okay.
A little bit, but she's really into Monster High dolls, which of course, yeah, thanks.
Well, and guys, if you're
I'm the best aunt
listening
in the
now,
whole world.
whatever age you are, like, do dolls scare you? If they do, and what age, not, you don't have to tell us what age you are,
Yes,
but like
you do.
what dolls, I'll figure it out just by telling
We're
them the
gonna know.
dolls. Like, what dolls scare the fuck out of you if you are afraid of dolls? Like, what is the, like, scariest doll movie to you? And anything like that, I would like to know.
Yeah,
And
let us know if Child's Play is your favorite, or Annabelle's your favorite,
Or whatever doll movie, yeah.
fucking anything, like any type of urban
Do you
legend
sleep
doll.
with your dolls, like,
Do
sexually?
you put them in your vagina when you go to bed? I don't know.
Where does it...
know.
Bobby,
Where does
where's
it
its
end?
arm?
Where does it end, or
kidding.
where does it begin? I don't know. Like, I want to know.
Well, guys, I think that's about it for the Chuck Stops here.
Chuck stops here. And it does, because I'm pretty fucking sure we can't expand on this any further.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
If
I think
we do,
we've
it's just gonna get ridiculous.
we've
already
elaborated on
sidetracked
it
enough.
pretty heavily. So
We've gone off on little tangent rampages.
oh
already
yeah,
enough on this.
and we had our winner this week. We announced our winner this week.
won?
Just this Thursday
was
last
me.
week, and they actually wrote back the same day. It was Joey Bales won.
What up?
Yeah, thank you, Joey.
Thanks,
Hope you
Joey.
enjoyed the package. He's probably got it by now. By the time everybody's listening to
Yeah, he's
this,
probably rubbing his dick on it. Right?
Jesus.
Sorry.
But guys, if give a warm welcome to Brittany for coming in. I'm
Don't
glad
hate
you got
me
to
now.
stop by too, Mouse. It's fun to hang out, man.
My insanely quiet husband.
No, yeah, but he's been actually pretty
Hey,
vocal here.
He's provided a great giggle track.
Yeah, and we've bonded because now we're like the same age. We're old
Touch
fucks.
tips. I guess.
I don't know. His is longer than mine, so
It
I don't know. But guys, if you haven't already, please be sure to stop by longlivethevoid.com. Check out all of our different sections. We put a lot of stuff up there, and we have all our social links there if you want to follow us on Facebook or anything like that.
Facebook.
But do it. Do it.
Do it, damn it.
And then Monday
do
we'll
it,
start a
do it
fresh new
well.
week with Brittany. So we're gonna she's already
and so
decided that we're gonna pick 2 movies, and it's funny that she wanted to do this, and Patrick and I were gonna do it this past week, and we ended up doing The Thing versus The Void.
Yeah, which I'm still bummed about because I
Yeah,
love both
that's a
those
good one
movies,
too. But she decided that she wanted to do Cannibal Holocaust.
versus the Green Inferno.
Green Inferno. So we're going to do that next week, guys. So if you want to check those movies out before we talk about them, it might be a good idea.
Please do it.
We'll do it on Thursday, obviously, and then Monday will be our pregame. So, but
we gotta think of some terrible shots.
oh yeah, we got it.
Oh,
We'll figure it
man.
out. Maybe penis shots or something.
Oh, it's gonna be a penis
like
shot.
we'll have it's got to
gonna
be a penis.
Disembodied scrotum shot. It's gonna be fucking gross.
Shattered scrotum.
Shattered scrotum. Trademark.
But guys, thanks so much for stopping by. We will see you next Monday.
Stay weird, monsters.
You have been listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in every Monday for a brand new episode.